Welcome to Barley and Me. I'm your host, Ben Rice. We're here today in Rancho Cordova at Fort Rock Brewing for the Queen of Beer 2018 Women's Beer Competition. With us today, we have Heidi Wilder, the Director of Funtivity at Fort Rock Brewing.
Hey, all.
We also have Cynthia Lee, a 10-year homebrewer, BJCP judge, and the head beer wench with upcoming brewery Dark Heart Brewing in Sacramento.
Good morning.
And also with us, Tracy Bethune, the national beer judge, with plenty of other things that she'll get into.
Lots of busyness all the time.
So, we're here for Queen of Beer. What's that about?
Everybody looks at me. All right. So, the Queen of Beer is an all-female home brewer competition that we've, for the second year now, hosted at Fort Rock that we're very happy to do. We like making sure that women get represented in home brewing, and so they come here and submit all their beers, and all of our lovely judges here judge it. And then we pick a best of show.
It's been around for a while now.
22 years.
Oh my goodness. And is that nationwide, or is it usually Sacramento area?
It's national.
Nice. That's awesome. So how many entrants, does anybody know how many entrants there were this year?
Yeah, 72.
I'm like, give Melissa a mic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right? Just keep feeding me information.
Yeah.
Well, it's really nice, too, because the people that are coming in today as homebrewers, it's very exciting. Those are the pro brewers of tomorrow, which is really exciting. I think Annie Johnson was, one that won several years back, and she's done some great things for women in brewing, and it's exciting to see what's coming up.
Yeah, maybe a few things that she's done. Just a few.
Quite a few.
Yeah. So let's go with Tracy first, since you're right in front of me, and that's all I know. Tell us about your history with beer and your fun stuff you do.
So, Queen of Beers is actually the very first beer competition that I ever entered, and that was probably about 15 years ago. But I've actually been brewing beer since I was 6, because I grew up in Canada on a barley farm. And literally every Sunday, my Irish grandma, we would literally make homebrew on the kitchen stove. We didn't make a lot of it because she had 6 boys, so it was all drunk within 2 weeks. But that's how I started out with brewing. And then when I moved to Sacramento about 20 years ago, there's just this amazing scene here of beer judging, and people are really dedicated to understanding all the styles of the world. And Queen of Beers was so cool because it was really, I hadn't met women outside of farm communities who were really involved in brewing before. And so for me, it was super, super fun to get started that way.
And then Cynthia, you have a tie to Tracy a little bit.
You know me from beer competitions.
We do. Yes. Actually, we started out, she was a huge inspiration. We started out stewarding about 6 years ago, and it was really neat to see Tracy and Beth Sankari really inspired me to take my BJCP beer judging course and pass, and now I get to be, right up with them and in the trenches.
And now it's your lifestyle because you're going to open a brewery,
yes,
right?
It's very
you're all
exciting.
in.
You never know where it's going to lead you, Path sometimes is one of those roads where you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
but it was just neat to see, some of these women that are just amazing, toe to toe with the guys, very, just amazing palates and eloquence in the way that they judge the beers. It's just very inspiring, and it definitely inspired me to be a better brewer and to start judging with them as well.
And then what's going on with Dark Heart?
We're very exciting. Dark Heart Brewing is a pirate-inspired brewery that's going to be opening up in Sacramento. We've been working on it for about 2 years. Started out at McClellan Air Force Base, and then for unforeseen circumstances had to switch buildings, and we should be open hopefully in January. Very exciting.
That's awesome. And Heidi,
yes,
as Director of Funtivity and longtime Barley and Me guest,
yes,
regular appearances throughout. Any recommendations or advice you might have for operating a brewery?
Oh my goodness. Take twice the time you think it's going to take, and
Amen.
Twice the money. Be patient. You just have to find the right spot. It took us about 6 months to find this space, and we opened up fairly quickly by the Sacramento standards. And it just takes patience. At one point, my husband was just like, "We're not doing this. We're gonna liquidate everything, and we're moving to Fiji." And
nice.
That was a dark January day, dark December day, and I was like, "No, we're not doing that." So, patience.
That is awesome. And I have to say, one of the neat things about the beer industry, I think that's very unique, is although we all have our different areas, it's like a family. Everybody is so supportive of one another. I mean, nowhere else would somebody let you come up and clean kegs like Crooked Lane has been kind to us. And it's just really neat that we all help each other and support each other, not just as women, but as fellow brewers. It's really neat.
We're a big dysfunctional family, and I like it, and
it's awesome.
It's great. People call us and they're like, hey, we need this or we need that, and we have the guild that we can reach out to for help and advice, and it's great. It's like, have you ever encountered this problem? No, but call this person. They might know something about it. Oh, okay. And, little hiccups here and there you can help smooth out.
Yeah. Melissa, I'm going to be real honest with you. Do you want to be on this microphone and I just walk away? Do you guys just talk?
No, I'm good right here.
You
Cynthia
sure?
and I can share.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I just feel like I don't really need to be here.
Sharing's
I'm
caring.
just loving being here and listening to everyone and just learning and sharing, and it's great.
So you guys have been beer judging since 9:30 a.m. today, and it's like noon 30 at this point, I think.
It's a good time to stop drinking.
Always better in the morning.
You got to save it for later.
Breakfast beer is,
Yes.
the staple of beer judging, right?
Well, my grandma used to always say, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Your
Yeah.
grandma sounds like she might have been Irish.
Yeah. You're looking a little Irish over there, my friend.
So have you guys had any standouts? Anything that you're like, we haven't done Best of Show yet, but
We haven't done Best of Show, so we
have any dark
honestly shouldn't
horses?
talk about it.
Fine.
Because,
Right.
because everybody was on different panels. So when we go into Best of Show, it'll be blind.
It's like,
it's like Fight
Beer,
Club.
Beer
Yes.
93
Yeah, it's
was
Fight
my
Club, yeah.
favorite.
No
one knows
not
what
like
that
that.
is.
And then the other thing, too, because, we put so much effort into really understanding all these different styles of beers, right? So,
Yeah.
a lot of people, if they say a beer was standout, they mean what is the beer they personally liked the most? And some people like things that are really hoppy, or some people like things that are really fruity, or some people like things that are really strong or really sweet. And we're not doing that. We're not
Right.
saying which beer did we like best. We're really digging into the merits of that particular style of beer, the history of where that beer came from, the ingredients and the geography that drive what that style of beer tastes like. And so you can even have, I've become lactose intolerant in the last few years, and I judged milk stouts today.
Oh, no.
So I had to take lactose pills before
Yeah.
I judged each milk stout. But I can still I know the history of that style. I know what's supposed to be happening with the aroma, what's supposed to be happening with the balance, with the flavor profiles. And so you can really judge each beer as its own child, its own unique sort of part of history and the world that it's supposed to inhabit.
Yeah. So there's we don't judge on wow factor here. We judge on, did you make the beer properly?
It could be
Did it
some
taste
of
It
good?
that.
should have a wow
with
factor.
a wow factor.
Right.
With a wow factor. But it's not wow factor alone. It's Best in Show.
Right, but a wow factor can come out of a small beer
Yeah.
just as easily as it can come out of an incredibly intense beer,
Oh,
right?
yeah. 100%. You have a crisp Pilsner. You're like, oh, shit.
A crisp
This-
Pilsner is to die for.
Yeah.
Is to die for, especially in the right scenario, right? I ride a motorcycle, and I have friends that we drive through Death Valley every July. And we do it every July just so that I can make my Army friends who think they've been in the hottest parts of the world feel like, they're not the only ones. And when you get to the other side of the desert, you can pick up some of the beers that everybody just knows as being a macro beer. It's not, it's a light beer. And you just drink that, and it is perfect in that scenario, right? So making these beers and really understanding the pedigree that comes behind the beer is a super important part of being able to judge beers.
So what were you guys judging today? What was your styles of choice? Or forced style?
What panels were we on?
Well, today, how many? I can't remember. How many styles of beer are there actually? It's in the 40s, isn't it?
Yeah, there's all these sub-styles. There's more than 100
Okay,
if you go to all the
because
sub-styles.
we had the 72 entries, what we had to do is decide what we wanted to do with them. And there's a lot of different beers within each category. We did 9 categories. We broke it down into 9. So there was several different styles within those 9 categories. So that's how we did it today.
Do you remember what the categories were?
No, but I can go find out
Yeah,
if we want it.
groups of beers, right?
Yeah,
like we're
right,
gonna have
right.
like
Your
you know
stouts.
your light lagers.
Yeah.
You're gonna have your
Right.
light ales. You're
We have
gonna
the
have
fruit
your dark
together,
ales. You're
vegetables,
gonna have your
ah.
Belgians.
Yeah, so
you're
we
gonna have your
similar
specialty.
characters.
Ciders and meads were
Judging.
together.
Yeah.
And then they all get judged on their own merit. And there was
Yeah.
a first, second, and third for each of the categories. So.
And that's just to provide some continuity in the sub panels.
Yeah.
Which is why now the sub panels have to move to best of show so that we can go across all of the categories and really pick out which one was the most amazing. And it's going to be huge on not only stylistic guidelines but wow factor at that point, because every beer you're judging on best of show is a great beer.
Right. Exactly.
So there'll be 9 of them because there was 9 categories. And then typically what happens at a best of show is they'll have their 9 beers in front of them, and they'll all taste each of the 9 beers. And the first round, each of the judges looks at kicking out one of them. So then there'll be 3 less, and then they'll kick out another, and then they'll be down to the 6. And that's kind of how they do it. So
And then we arm wrestle if we can't decide.
exactly. Yeah.
I'm just
always
kidding
the
because we
best way.
never arm wrestle. We always talk it through.
Yes.
I think
So
it's the last resort.
yeah, you're right.
Whenever
yeah.
I'm on best of show, the guys are afraid to arm wrestle with me.
I know. Yeah, I know. Me too.
Attention all Barley and Me fans, the Art of Beer Invitational is back. Join me at Sacramento's favorite beer event on Friday, January 25th, 2019 at McClellan Conference Center. The event will feature unlimited pours from more than 30 top breweries, small bites from local restaurants, and a brewer's silent auction. The proceeds from that auction will benefit the Make-A-Wish Northeastern and Central California, as well as Northern Nevada chapters. VIP and general admission tickets are on sale now at artofbeerinvitational.com. That's artofbeerinvitational.com. Friday, January 25th, 2019. I'm not good at questions on this stuff because I'm a terrible a beer judge. Because I'm always
You're
looking,
a terrible beer judge because
Oh, yeah.
all beer is good.
I wouldn't go that far. I would not.
I'm not a very good beer judge.
I'm just-
I
I'm
know
just-
what I like. That's
Yeah.
the problem. Is
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
like,
like-
this
I'm-
is delicious. I have no idea if it's the style or not, but
Right.
there's definitely beers that I'm like, whoa, I do not like
It's like
that.
when I first started, I always
Yeah.
wanted to judge lagers because they're not my favorite beer. So it
Yeah.
was easy. It's either it's on point or it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, there's no, you can't hide any sins in a lager.
Right,
And that's why
exactly.
every time I go
So-
to a new brewery, I'm like, oh, and you have a Pilsner. I will try that. And I will judge you by it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, it's kind of interesting. I'm not a huge IPA girl, and
Mm-hmm.
I think because I'm not an IPA girl, I almost give it a better shake than something that I would just truly like. If you're talking, a barley wine or a big, bold, stout, those ones I truly love. But I think I've tried to be a little bit more honest with really sticking to the guidelines and really trying to give that. That to the T thing on beer styles that I don't necessarily like sours or IPAs
I
are
love
not my
sours.
wheelhouse. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Love gozes and sours and it's the best thing because my husband doesn't like a lot of the beer styles that I do, so I'm like, this is all mine.
Perfect.
Yeah, he's an IPA
Something
guy.
for everybody.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, you got to separate your fan brain from your analytical brain
Yes.
Yeah.
type thing. Yeah.
Yes.
And everything we've been talking about is like about what beers we like or what's on point or what's the highest scoring or what has the best wow factor. But because I've been judging for a long time now, and 15 years ago, it was harder to find great homebrew shops. It was harder to find great brewers. People would just, they'd submit a beer and it had gone rubbery and phenolic and they had no idea why. They didn't know what was wrong. And it used to be I'd go to beer competitions and most of what we were doing was giving people feedback so they could become better brewers. And we were really good at identifying flaws and explaining the styles to them. And it's just such a joy in the last few years to judge because you sit down at a panel and all the beers you get are all usually excellent.
Yeah.
Because the quality of homebrewing has gone up so high. Instead of me sitting down and spending my time focused on sort of teaching people better brewing techniques, I'm going through and I just have the joy of picking which of these beers in that particular style is the best.
Yeah.
And so even at Queen of Beer, it's just so amazing to see how much better the brewing is in the whole community. It's really cool.
Yeah, when you're it's not a technical issue at all anymore. You're not kicking them out because it's bad technically. It's
No.
now it's okay, these are all pretty close technically wise. Now it's flavor and appearance and really what a beer is supposed to be.
We're getting into all the subtle distinctions
Yeah.
about the difference between good and excellent. Like it's just a joy to try them all.
Yeah, it's better, but it's also worse because now it's like now I've got
More
to
work.
like cut somebody that you're like it's really good, but there's
Yeah,
another
but
one.
there's
that's
other ones that
there's a
shine more,
slightly,
yep.
slightly better one.
But
Where
I
before it's
don't care. It's like we've
this
got-
half can go
Yeah,
15 years ago. You're like
we've
this half
come-
is gone.
We've come so far from my grandma's kettle on the kitchen stove. Like I'm just like so thrilled to see the quality of brewing. Just it's amazing how good the product is that comes out. It's really cool.
Well, there's so many beer forums out there where you can really refine your beer and make it better, and that's your beer should always be getting better. It should always be changing in little subtleties, and it's like your beer that you're making now in a year should be just a tiny bit better, and you get feedback from judgings and you submit your beers and you get that back and you're like, okay, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and it's great. So that's why you enter these contests.
Yeah.
It's not just to get a medal, it's to get feedback so your beer is getting better.
Yeah. Yeah, when we're judging that, it's like writing an exam for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're writing an entire page of detailed content to give back to the brewer so that they can really get that objective in discernment of what their beer was like and what they could do to improve it. I always say if you do an amazing, really good job of writing a beer judging sheet, you could hand it to a pro brewer and they could replicate the recipe off of all the things you've written down about aroma, appearance, flavor, mouthfeel. It should all be there so that somebody could actually go brew that recipe if they knew what they were doing.
Oh man, that is a lot.
That's the standard to hold myself to,
yeah.
so that I could hand somebody my judging spreadsheet and they could make the beer.
I think that's really nice to be able to get that feedback of being at sometimes
Right.
just a little difference in mash temperature.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at the difference in what that would make.
Or
the end of
people
your
who are
beer.
learning, people who are new to brewing, like they don't know the difference between caramel and butterscotch, and they don't know why it's in there, and they don't understand how come that extra half pound of caramel malt was a bad idea, right? So, it's just fun. It's just fun to connect with people, even though they're not here. You feel like this real personal connection to this thing that they made with their hands, and then sent into competition.
And it's interesting. So when we were homebrewing, we didn't enter into any competitions. Like the competition came after we opened the brewery, and in hindsight, I'm like, that would have been kind of a nice tool to have.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked out, whatever. But it was just kind of interesting. I didn't even know that there were homebrew competitions. It was just, we're just going to make beer, and then hey, it's turning out really good. Let's open a brewery. So
I had someone that contacted me and they said they were afraid to enter their beer, but they really appreciated that we were doing these competitions. And I said, this is the best place to get started to enter a beer because you have professionals in front of your beer telling you what they think of it and how to improve it. And it's the best thing you could possibly do. So even if you're not confident that it's a great beer, good. Bring it here. Let us help you.
And straight up, that's why I love Queen of Beer, right? Because I was homebrewing for 20 years before I ever entered into a competition. And it was when it was like Queen of Beer, I was like, well, wait a second. This is all women. They're entering this competition. Like, I want to do that too. And I don't know why I had never done it before in open competition, but it was a little extra push that I felt like I needed in order to sort of go public with my homebrew.
Right on.
No, I think it's great. And historically, I mean, if you look back, we were talking about history, most people were women brewers back in the day.
Amen.
They'd have
That's
these
right.
homes and you go from home to home and they would have their home brew that they would be selling to the little towns.
Yeah, the locals.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. So
Use your-
it's kind of
use your local beer.
Yeah. And lots of professional women brewers now that are coming out that are
Tons of women.
Awesome.
I think like 10 years ago, there was a perception there weren't that many women involved in brewing. There are so many women involved in brewing, so many women involved. And they have always been involved. And so I just love that now it's not, there isn't a perception that it's different. Like it's out there and it's available and people are really seeing and engaging with the whole industry.
agreed.
Well, we're going to go judge.
There's a best of show to be done.
It's got to happen.
Get some
Yeah.
beer to
Please
drink.
leave. all I ask.
We would love to talk to you more, but we must go back to drinking
Yes.
beer.
must
Duty
go
calls.
drink beer.
Our
Yes.
labor of love.
Yeah.
The struggle
Duty,
is real.
Service.
It is.
Beer judging.
Yeah, we do it for the people. We do it for
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah.
It's for the people.
Yes, yes.
It's all about we
It's
drink
not-
for people. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's what we do. It's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make, Yeah,
I don't have a drinking problem. I have a drinking obligation.
Yes.
me too.
Yes.
And it's all about quality control.
Indeed.
All about it.
Yeah, exactly.
R&D,
Just
baby.
making beer better for everybody.
Queens of
That's right.
QC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is for everybody else. It's not for you.
It's not for me.
All right, guys, you need to leave.
Yeah.
Tracy Bethune, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Heidi Wilder, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cynthia Lee, also thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
The
Thank you.
unannounced Melissa McCann.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This has been episode 91 of Barley and Me at the Queen of Beer competition. Which, before we go, Melissa, how do you enter it if you are
How do you enter
interested?
it? You go to queenofbeer.beer. You're good. Queenofbeer.beer. Sorry.
Perfect. Got it.
A little stutter in there.
All right, please leave.
Thank
America needs you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
Canadians can enter too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, international.
Go Canada.
And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
Go Saskatchewan.
Get home safe. And had to leave early on that recording, so I figured we'd come back and meet up with the coordinator of the Queen of Beer, Melissa McCann, to go over who actually did win Queen of Beer this year. Melissa, thanks so much for coming over and dealing with this.
Sure. So we'll start with winning entries with the category was lagers. We have Cat Greco with a blonde ale, Cat Greco again with a Schwartz beer, Mary Taylor with a German Pils, Michelle Reynolds and co-brewer Clara Martinez with a Saison, Kim Paris with a strong bitter, and then my personal group with Beth Zangari and Rebecca Nevis, we did an American Pale Ale in that group. With our, we only had 71 entries, and so we had to combine a lot of the categories, and that's why you see a lot of different, or hear a lot of different beers within one table group. So, and then for dark ales, we have Stephanie Shields with an English Brown, Kylie Gwynn with a Belgian Dark Strong, and Casey Leaf with a Wee Heavy. For porters and stouts, we have Casey Leaf with a Scottish Export, Tony Wong with a Sweet Stout, Teresa Ten Eyck with an American Porter, and then with IPAs, we have Catherine Smith with an American IPA, Anna Belize with an American IPA, and Alicia Anderson with a red IPA. For sours, I have Amanda Weilenman with a Lambic, Jessica Iams with an experimental beer, and then I have Anne Marie Johnson with a mixed fermentation sour, who is better known as Annie Johnson, who's won Queen of Beer in the past. For fruit beers, I have Mary Taylor, who entered a fruit beer. She's first place. Alicia Anderson with a fruit beer, and Mary Taylor with a fruit beer. For spice, herb, vegetable, and specialty beers, I have Jess Finley Schultz with an alternative green beer. It was a rye pale ale. Kylie Gwynn with a co-brewer, but I'm not sure what the name is there. It's called, it's a winter seasonal. And then also Mary Taylor again with a peanut butter stout. For meads and ciders, I have Kim Bishop with a New World cider, Mary Taylor with a sweet mead, and Mary Taylor with a stone fruit mead. For
Mary Taylor
best
cleaning up.
Yes, we are. I know, right? There's quite a few in there that have had several different entries. So then for Best of Show, we ended up with Jess Finley Schultz with her Rye Pale Ale, the alternative grain, as our first place winner. And then Best of Show for cider was Kim Bishop with her New World cider.
That's awesome.
I know.
And so when does registration start for 2019?
We are in the process of getting that all ready right now. We're going to start registering probably, the website will be up for sure by June 1st, and then we'll have our dates on there at that point. So, and we'll probably do it again in December. I think that's kind of the goal, because it's a little bit shorter on the judging schedule, and it's a lot easier to find judges for us, and we want to do a good job at it. So.
And that's to get a Pro-Am event.
Yes, we do. Jess Finley will be working with Fort Rock to do a Pro-Am beer with for GABF next year.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Melissa, thank you so much.
Of course.
And again, you can find information at queenofbeer.beer.